Alright guys and girls, this is Bagofsoup coming at you with another War Robots video. It's been about a week or so since I've recorded a video and published it, so I'm sorry about that. I am in the middle of school. I'm a pastor at our church and finishing up seminary the last few classes, and it's been pretty crazy this semester. But I've got 4 videos I am working on this week, including this one here. This is from the test server this past weekend, and I really didn't get to give my thoughts in on it. Of course, some of the things we were testing out was the new Dreadnought Map, of course the new Glider Bot, the Hellburner Bot, the Medium Storm Thunder style weapon, and the Boa redesign. So we're going to be talking about that over a couple of matches here. Of course, first the Dreadnought Map. We've seen this map a number of times before, but each time it gets a little more detailed and a little more polished, and it looks like it's pretty much almost finished. It's a pretty neat map. It's definitely got a Star Wars The Force Awakens type vibe. Looks like it could be the junk planet of Jakku. Could be a crashed Star Destroyer, so I really like that sci-fi shout out there. Of course, it's got a lot of sniping areas on the outside, but they've added just enough junk in for you to be able to get to beacons and dodge your opponents and get in a little closer. So I am in the Hellburner here. This is a light robot with a heavy weapon and a light weapon that they've been teasing the past couple months. And what we're going to find out in this test server, in my opinion, is that there are just a few things that need to be worked on for each of the things we were testing out. First of all, the Hellburner here, its signature feature is that when you hit special ability, you're able to start charging fast and go kamikaze style into your opponents, and if you get within 50 meters radius, you can explode, self-destruct, and take about 50,000 hit points damage from them. But we weren't able to do it there. We were taken out, and we'll try the Hellburner in just a minute. We'll talk about some ways we could maybe improve it, because I'm not super happy with it yet. Of course, now we're trying the Glider Medium Bot again. This is very similar to the style of a Rogatka, except for it's got another light gun on top. Instead of jumping, it glides. Now this bot has really tested differently every time we've taken it out for a stroll. The first time we tested, you could just use your glider pixie dust anytime it loaded up. It just auto reloaded and you could glide as much as you wanted. Has 50 kilometers an hour speed. Now the next time we tested it, you couldn't glide nearly as high, and the speed was accidentally reduced to 30 instead of 50. What a difference. So it was pretty much unusable in that test server. We finally get to try it again. The speed is finally back to 50, which is definitely a good thing. And the gliding power, the pixie dust, is back to its original level. You can glide pretty high and pretty far, which is nice. But and there's some new gliding effects, as you can see there on the bot. The biggest issue, though, is this time, once you've glided, no matter how far, but you've glided far enough, you get a cooldown, which I preferred the previous version, which just meant you could glide at any time, because honestly, the gliding ability is a strength as much as it is a weakness. When you glide, it's pretty slow, and it puts you up in the air in range of snipers and rockets and other firearms. So honestly, the best way I found to use this ability was to be able to use it on and off whenever you needed it. Just in little bursts here and there to get right over cover or get around objects. But to have this cooldown that can happen anytime you use it isn't so great. Of course, the explosion effects aren't finished on some of these bots as well. We're going to try out another one instead of the Terrans and Magnum, which is pretty good. I really enjoyed the Punishers a lot on this one because of the extra range. So as you can see, the gliding ability is back pretty good, but what happens is in the old version of this bot, when you start to glide and let go of the button, you would start to coast down, and then you could hit the button and glide up again as much as you wanted. But now what happens is once you let go of the initial glide button and try to press it again, it just starts you on a downward slope no matter what you do. It doesn't let you rise up and down in the air like you used to get over objects. So once you've hit that button and let go, you can hit again if the cooldown hasn't been hit and you haven't reached the ground. But like this, you're just going to, you'll see in a second here, you're just going to start to glide down slowly. You're not going to be able to rise up in the air any further, and I think that's a mistake. on this bot. I think they should go back to the original testing the first week. Have the glide ability be able to go on and off anytime you need it, and be able to go up and down in the air as much or as long as you press the button. I do like that they've smoothed out the glide. It looks less stuttery or junky, and the effects are nice, but I think if they were going to leave that amount of glide or pixie dust, that's great, and let you glide whenever you want to and come up and down would be a much improved from what we have here this weekend. So this bot is coming along. It does feel a fun niche that the ROG and the Kumiho Dashbot Mark 1 don't do. And although the glide can be a weakness and set you up for snipers, it can do some really good things. It can get you just high enough to get into aim of somebody or get into range. And if you have a better control over when you start and stop the glide and when you can go up and down, I think it would suit the player even better. So that would be my recommendation on the glider. And then I think it's pretty close to release so far. So it's not going to be super overpowered. It's not going to be the latest, greatest thing. But it is going to be another option like the ROG and the Dashbot Mark 1. And once again, the Punishers have been pretty fun as you see me take out this bot on the rise and try to use those Punishers at distance. What I don't like, once again, is once you hit the ground, that cooldown starts. And once you glide and let go of the button, you start to fall slowly if you hit the button again. So we're back in the Hellburner. I really enjoy this bot. I like the variation with a heavy and light weapon. Kind of like a Vityaz without one of the light weapons, or like a Boa but with a light instead of a medium. We're using the Thunder Punisher here. I like the speed on it. I like light and fast bots. It's really fun, but I think the mistake on this bot is the Kamikaze ability. The first two matches I played on test server, the first match, I hit the Kamikaze button, started running really fast, and then just exploded when the timer went down. I didn't know how to use it. And I knew what this bot does, so I think they were pretty unclear with how the ability works. And secondly, you can only use that dash when you're going to Kamikaze explode yourself, and that's it. We didn't even get to use that ability. I really think they should have allowed you to use your speed boost anytime you want with a cooldown. And once you hit that button and you start running, the little speed icon changes to an explosion icon, and you can decide to tap that button again whenever you want to explode near somebody. Now, if you don't hit the button, you don't explode, and you end your dash, and you get a cooldown, and you can dash again. But as it stands right now, the only time you can dash is when you hit that button to go into Kamikaze mode, and then you have to wait for the timer to hit before you actually die. You don't have control when you hit it. So I really think that would fix the Hellburner. Of course, now we're trying the glider bot again, and if you can tell, I've got those new medium storm weapons on there. This is the medium level thunder, basically, the medium level shotgun. And what we found this weekend is that it's pretty weak. I did take out that rhino just now, and I'm taking out this guy. But you have to get really, really close to be effective with this weapon. It has less than half the power of a thunder. And just seems like you have to get twice as close to use it effectively. And I really feel like that little pinata on there was doing more damage than the actual storm thunder there. So I definitely think this weapon needs a buff or a range increase with its actual damage. I'm trying to glide over this object and take this guy out, but once again I'm vulnerable to snipers there, so that's always a problem. But yeah, that's the issue here. With the storm is it needs either more damage at range, because you just can't get close enough to use it. You can't put 3 on a Fujin and be quick enough to get in there and get close enough to do damage. So like a Thunder, it has the range up to 500, but it needs to do more damage at 150, 200, 250 meter range. Even for a medium weapon, it needs a buff. So that's our first match here on Dreadnought, and it was pretty fun. I like that you can go inside the buildings and hit those beacons at 3 different levels. There is some sniping area, but there's also enough debris and objects to close in on snipers and take them out as well, especially if you're playing Beacon Rush. So I think this map is almost ready to go. It was pretty fun. But once again, I think the Hellburner just needs an adjustment on its dash ability to use it without having to kamikaze until you're ready. And the glider definitely needs to be able to glide on your command better. And the storm just needs more of a damage buff. So we did pretty good there, considering that was a fast match and we were using light bots and light weapons. We're going to jump into Canyon now to try out the same hangar on a different map. During the weekend, I got Dreadnought Map, I think, every time but once. And so this was the only time, right after that last match, that I was able to get a different map. And I wanted to see how these bots worked on a different situation. So once again, we're bringing the Hellburner in. I really like it. And on a Vityaz, I would sometimes use this setup, a Zeus with 2 Magnums. So a Zeus Magnum works pretty well here. I can hit guys from range and use that speed to close in on them. And because it's kind of a light and fast and weak bot, I try to stay behind my other blue teammates so that I'm not being targeted. And then when I feel like I can get into range on somebody, then I pull in closer and use that Magnum as well, and it doesn't have a reload. So I like the idea of this bot, and I think it could be a fun niche bot for a light one. The things it has going for it is the heavy slot and of course the speed. And so once again, my suggestion to Pixonic would be don't leave it as is, where once you hit that ability button, you go on a speed boost until the timer counts down, which you have no control over, and then you blow up and try and take people out. I would say hit the ability button. You'd be able to do a Hellburner dash, which gives this bot a fun advantage, the speed. And then that button icon changes to an explosion icon, and you can tap that button if you want to kamikaze and explode in that 50-meter radius of somebody else. If you don't, you just let the dash run out, you let the cooldown happen, and you can do it again. I think that would solve several problems there. So during this whole weekend, we weren't able to actually successfully use the kamikaze ability to see how it worked. I either got killed before I could, or when I tried the ability, I had to try to run that bot into somebody else, but it wouldn't explode until the timer reached 0. So once again, I think these suggestions would really help. But it's definitely a fun bot. I could see, you know, a Thunder Pinata, a Zeus Magnum being some good setups there on it, and I hope they will make some changes to it, because I would be interested to run this in as a beacon runner, and even in some custom matches. I think it would be fun as well. And I don't always like the look of some of the new robots. They kind of all look the same lately, and they have that kind of Pacific Rim look. It's neat. It's just a departure from the original style of the bots that came out in the first place. But I do like this one. I like the color on it. It's got a Bumblebee style look, and I like the look here. So here we go. We've lost our weapons. We're going to hit the kamikaze button. We've got 10 seconds. I love the look and the boost on this thing, if you wouldn't have to explode afterwards. Of course, we can't get quite close enough in to do anything, and I'm not convinced during the weekend that the kamikaze effect actually happened, because I got close to a couple bots and just couldn't make it work. So anyway, hopefully they'll get that fixed. Now we're back in the glider bot. Like I said, I like the finished effects on both of these bots. And once again, what I would do on this bot is not go into cooldown ever. Just let your pixie dust, your glide ability auto reload, and be able to use it anytime you want, as much as you want, by just pushing the button or letting go of the button and holding it down. That would be one solution, because once again, this ability is a liability as much as it is a strength. And number two, once you tap that button and go up in the air and let go, you should be able to tap that button again and be able to keep going up. You shouldn't have to just glide down only. But as you can see, we're using that glide ability here with cover as best as we can to try and take down our opponents, and I really have liked the Punishers on here. It's got some good firepower, 2 mediums plus a light, this is what I suggested that the Haichi Mark II should have. Instead of 3 mediums, it's too powerful. Do 2 mediums and a light, but they haven't taken me up on that offer yet. And once again, the Punishers give us some great range, so we're coming in on a Raijin here. It's got his shield up, and I'm just kind of testing out these Punishers at 500 meters or 430 to see if we can bust through that shield. And we're able to use our glide ability to kind of get up in the air and get a better angle on him. So we're reloading our guns here again, and we'll give another shot. That Raijin shield's pretty strong. But I know some other guys said it felt like it took a long time to kill bots this weekend. Almost like the hit points got a buff or the weapons got a nerf. which is not a bad idea. That gives you more firefight time. Instead of a death bud, you just walk up to someone and take them out. But the longer kills here make a little more strategy. So anyway, we're giving that glider ability the best use we can here. And let's see if we can get back close to that Raijin again and try and take him out. He's lasted a long time up there, and thankfully he hasn't targeted me yet. So once again, we're going to use our glide ability to close in on him. The closer we get, the more the Punishers connect and do damage here. And once again, you saw when I let go of the button and held it down again, all we did was just kind of glide gradually down, which I wish was fixed. You could just glide up and down anytime you held down that button. Finally taking that Raijin out. Like I said, I know this doesn't have the firepower of a Griffin. We're missing just one light gun, but felt like it took forever to take that guy down. So let's see if we can finish him off here. Now, once again, I'm not claiming that this battle was, one of the toughest ever. The opponents weren't really active. They weren't really situationally aware. It wasn't really a difficult battle. But what we're doing, of course, is we're just showing off the abilities of the bots and the weapons and offering our solutions here to some of them. And that's it. It looks almost done here. Once again, I would just fix the Hellburner to be able to dash when it can, and then have a secondary button to do the explosion if you want. And then, of course, with the glide, make it glide anytime it want without a cooldown up or down. For the glide bot, I think those will be ready to go. And with the Storm Thunder medium weapon, just give it some more oomph. Give it some more damage at a little more range. Keep the 500 range, but let it do more damage outside of 100 meters. So we did pretty decent there. Once again, that wasn't a tough battle, but it was just fun to test out some of the things we've been looking at the past few months and see them as they're almost finished. And let's go ahead and take a closer look at these guys here. There's the Hellburner, of course, and we've also got the glider or hover bot. We don't really know what those bots will be called when they're released, but you can tell they're pretty much almost finished. And we'll take a closer look at the style. Once again, a lot of these new bots have similar looks, like the Dock, the ROG redesign, the new BOA redesign came out this week. We didn't get to really show it off here, but they all look very similar. They have that Pacific Rim look, which is cool, but I'd like to see a little more differentiation between each one. Having said that, I do like that Hellburner look. It is fun, and it just reminds me of the new Bumblebee from Transformers. So I hope you liked the video. Please click like if you did. I'd love to hear your comments in the section below about the Hellburner, the glider, and the Storm weapon, as well as the BOA redesign and the Dreadnought map. We got some more videos coming your way, so stay tuned this week. That's it. This is Bagofsoup, and I hope you have a great War Robots day.
Yeah.